In this episode, we sit down with AJ Roberts. We talk conspiracy theories, plant medicines, and consciousness retreats that he runs. This conversation might include opinions that you find challenging or even controversial. I encourage you to listen with curiosity and take away what works for you. And as always, do your own research and form your own opinions. This episode is not to be missed. I hope you enjoy it. So you talk a lot about mission consciousness. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Well, it's actually our brand name, Mission Consciousness, because it is basically our mission, mine and my partner Corin. We've been working on this for a couple of years, and it basically came around during like the COVID period. So obviously everyone went through what they went through from 2020 onwards. And a lot of people basically wanted to find each other. So obviously everyone was locked down, everyone went through like despair, everyone went through trauma, everyone went through their own version of events of that. A lot of people like unfriended because of opinions. A lot of people like went off on their own way. It became a bit of a natural split in kind of like society, I think, and within family households. So what became very apparent to me was like, why weren't people understanding like what was going on, like certain information, like why didn't it resonate with them? It wasn't like I needed them to believe what I believed, and likewise the people who were seeing the same thing as me. So I was like, it's all to do with their level of consciousness, like what they can actually receive, what they can like understand. Because we're literally like mainframe computers, right? We're like hardware. It's like a modem. We can only take a certain frequency in, and we give a certain frequency out, and that's literally what I was seeing across the board. And I think from being like ex-military and like being quite good at being an observer, I was just constantly observing all the time. And it became really apparent that everything that we're experiencing is all to do with your level of consciousness. So it became basically our mission to help people raise that in different ways, like connect to higher levels of it within themselves, help create communities so we can help communities then collectively raise theirs, and then they have just much more of a better experience in life because we create our own reality. Right. So we were basically showing people how to create your own reality, create your own abundance, create your own joy, your own bliss, away from all the fear, because that's all basically 2020, 2021 onwards was all about. It was all about fear.
Fear mongering,
in loads of different ways. It was a constant barrage, right? It wasn't just about the pandemic. It was other things thrown in all the time. Constant distractions, stuff like that. So it was about creating a platform so that we, using different tools and modalities, that we can help people raise their own individual level of consciousness, like connect with like-minded people. So we've built a phenomenally, great community that's growing all the time, all around the country in different parts of the world now. And it's just expanded since. Like our mission's expanded, because as people's consciousness is raised, so's their like kind of pull towards certain things. So we run live events, for example, where we take people through like a cacao ceremony with the organic.
So what's cacao for people that don't know?
So cacao is the organic like chocolate like blend. So cacao is part of chocolate, which is obviously modern day chocolate is like obviously mixed with loads of different ingredients, right?
Sure.
So it's the organic blend from the Amazon, from Venezuela. The actual chocolate drink. So think of it as like a really like the purest organic hot chocolate.
Right.
Sounds
nice.
It is nice, yeah.
Yeah.
So we take people through that, and then we take people through like different exercises, not as in physical exercises, but like things.
So what's some of the exercises that you would take people?
Kind of like toning exercises to help people like open their throat, right? Because when people open their throat, it helps you express truth.
Okay.
And receive truth as well. We take people through like.
Sorry, I'm really intrigued about that. So how do you do that then?
So just using tones. So Corin will use the sound bowls.
Okay.
And I'll pick up on it, stand there and just pick up on and I'll get everyone to join in, and you create a vibration within your own body. It's a real test of the ego as well.
It's good. I bet.
You get most guys are like, like that. And then we take people through like meditation, some sound healing with the bowls, like mixed with meditation, which is really great because people experience like lots of different things within the body. And then we take people through breath work as well. And breath work is probably the fastest growing health modality since about 2019. We all do it. We've all got breath. We do it since the day we're born. We do it to the day we die. So basically show people the power of it and what it can do for your own body and your own consciousness, right?
It's interesting with breath work and breathing, because sometimes the only thing that we actually have in our control is our breath.
Yeah.
And we take that for advantage, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where the label anxiety comes from. And it is actually a label. It's not a condition. It's been conditioned onto us that it is a condition. So anxiety is literally the person not connecting with their breath.
Right.
So anyone that says, "I've got anxiety," they're like, the heartbreak
Loss
goes
of
up,
control.
loss of control, and then obviously the fear, the ego mind kicks in, and that's where the fear kicks in. They then attach the fear to the fact that they're hyperventilating or their breath's out of control. That's literally it. So it's about bringing a person back to center with themselves and focusing on the breath.
This episode of the Tom's Talks podcast is proudly sponsored by Unthin, the hair growth company that's helping people feel more confident in their own skin. From supplements to topical product, Unthin is deeply rooted in the science behind helping people with a healthy hair and scalp. You can use the code TOM20, that's TOM20 for 20% off at the checkout. Thank you to Unthin for supporting honest conversations around mental health. Mission consciousness then is, obviously I understand now what the mission is and helping people gain that consciousness. Out of the different modalities that you just explained, what is the one that people benefit the most from? Where do people find their consciousness the majority of the time?
I mean, I didn't really touch on it, but we run retreats in Portugal where we take people to, it's a plant medicine retreat. So if I say if there was one that connects people the most, it would be like through plant medicines. I'm not saying that everybody needs plant medicines. It's just like if you were to look at the real big impacts, because we can only go off like the impact it's had on the people that come and then how much it's transformed their life. And I say that as an individual that's gone through that process. So before we really ramped up our retreats, I went through the process myself. That led to me, my own marriage break, me leaving a 20-year marriage and my children to be with Corinne, my partner now. That was like a hard process, and that was like just over a year ago. But
what you gaining more consciousness was the reason why you left the marriage.
Yeah, because I was in a space where I was just like my soul knew I wasn't supposed to be here. So you know what I mean? It helps you connect to like a real deep soul level understanding of yourself. It's not just like my job, the role I'm in, the husband, the dad, like all that kind of stuff. Because people get so caught up in life and they end up just playing roles throughout the whole life. And that's why you see so many guys on the tools, for example, who literally just think, I'm just there to pull a wage and pay my ridiculous bills and do the same rinse and repeat, right? And that's why we've got such a men's mental health epidemic. One of the big reasons. And, by sitting with plant medicine, it's for people who are cool to it, because it gives you a deeper understanding of your true self beyond the physical of what you're living right now. It doesn't necessarily go like, AJ, you've got to bin your missus, mate. There's another bird over there. It's not kind of like that. It's very much like shows you the lessons that you need for your journey.
So for the people that are listening, what are plant medicines? Just elaborate a little bit more on that.
So plant medicines are very much totally organic medicines from predominantly the Amazon, which is where most of them reside. But you get a lot that reside where you live. Okay. So they don't necessarily have to be hallucinogenics or psychedelics or purging medicines. They could be very much like grounding medicines, things that calm you down. So we've got an abundance of mushrooms everywhere. They grow where we live. But
is it as easy? From my imagination, it's not as easy as going to a field, picking the mushrooms out, and then just eating them.
Yeah, so
there's a little bit more to it.
Yeah,
than
you
that,
need to do your research and stuff. And there's a lot of there is a lot of good companies here in the UK that actually produce good products that have good blends of mushrooms and stuff like that. So they, that is them doing the work for you.
Yeah,
you still can't beat the natural foraging and everything else like that, and picking it yourself, just like you get from growing your own food. Right, very much the same. But again, it takes that kind of research.
Why is it then? So we've got obviously the conventional medicine. So for anxiety, there's multiple forms of antidepressants, and for depression, there's antidepressants. And if you go to the doctor, this is one thing that I think there should be more of an investigation or more curiosity from a doctor before prescribing antidepressants. you go to the doctor and then you say, I'm struggling with my mental health. They give you a diagnosis of depression. They give you, I can't remember the name of it, sertraline, I think.
Yeah, there's lots of different types.
That seems,
all sorts.
sertraline seems to be the most common one that I hear about. Why is it that we're not exploring these more plant medicines and the other
the thing is, with plant
remedies
medicine,
you've just mentioned?
There's a few factors, but it's quite simple. There's like, you got plant medicines which naturally grow; they can't be taxed. Okay, you can't make money on them. You can only try and mimic them through synthetic pharmaceuticals, chemicals. Obviously, then if everyone went, right, I'm sacking big pharma now, I'm just purely focusing on plant medicines, all of big pharma would collapse. No one would make any money. Everyone would lose. They'd all lose billions. Right? So it's important to keep people as return customers, and it's not just with depression; it's with all sorts. So we all know people who live in the doctors, right? There's someone in your life who lives in the doctors, and they're taking one thing one week, and the next thing they've got to take another the next day, because that's what happens. It's just a big cycle. My own mother was like that, and she passed away last year, like in a hospital, funnily enough, on statins. Like she was a prime example of the pharmaceutical industry and what it can do to you. So they can't. So they try and mimic them by taking the qualities and everything else like that out of them to give you a certain effect, but it doesn't stay within your system. Your body, because your body is you are your greatest healer, right? Your body will naturally push that toxin out of your body because all the chemicals are foreign objects, therefore a toxin, so it will push it out of your body. Prime example, if you take cocaine, it's out of your system in 48, 72 hours, something like that. But if you smoke cannabis, it's in your system for months. Because the cannabis has cannabinoids, which connect to your endocannabinoid system in your body. So the receptors bind with each other, which is why it's a healing agent. That's why cannabis heals so many cancers and stuff like that. So going back to what you're saying about the antidepressants, I mean, we've never been in a situation where we've had more people diagnosed as depressed, anxiety, ADHD, all the different labels, right? We've never been in a situation where it's so high, ever.
No.
But the higher it gets, the more money Big Pharma makes. So you've got to look at actually what these...
When you say Big Pharma, sorry, who would you mean?
As in all the pharmaceutical companies.
So you're not related to just one company?
No, all of that as a whole umbrella. The fact of the matter is they're all linked to each other. So it's the same with the food industry. So there's so much crap and chemicals and toxins in the food now that's actually making people sick. There's, skyrocketing cancers. So as the food's poisoning people, they're turning to Big Pharma to try and get fixed. And then so they all work hand in hand. All the Coca-Colas, the energy drinks are just out of this world now. Right? So they all work hand in hand. Everywhere we look, there's poisons everywhere, absolutely smashing people on a day-to-day basis, whilst getting stressed from work, trying to pay the bills. You see what I mean? It's this whole vicious cycle, right?
Big cycle.
So then they can't take it anymore. So they're like, I need to go to the doctor. Like, I think I'm depressed. I think I'm suffering from stress, I'm suffering from anxiety, my mental health's all over. So the doctor, basically, half of them don't even put you through proper testing or anything. Yeah. They'll just go, I've got a pill for you. And they make money off it straight away. So the doctors get paid. The GPs get paid for every sort of prescription they're giving out. But the problem is with the actual, a lot of these things like Xanax and the one you mentioned, they stop you from crying. They stop you from
feeling, don't they?
Yeah, so they stop you from feeling, right? So like when we cry, we're releasing trauma from the body, and these traumas can be kept in the body from a baby. Like literally, we don't realise that because we're the only species that hold trauma in the body. All the animals just shake it out into the land, right? We live a box-to-box life every day. Like, so we're not releasing trauma, and then we're just consuming information all the time. So these tablets or whatever it is you're taking, they literally stop you from crying and releasing trauma. So tears have salts in, right? Which are actually tiny little crystals, and they hold information. So when your tears come down your face, you're literally releasing all that old data, trauma, memory that actually makes you feel like crap. And that's why it's good to cry, right? And you know as well as I do, from obviously your podcast and the work you do, right? We've just had it drummed into us, men don't cry, right? Boys don't cry.
Historically,
Yeah, and that's what these tablets do. So it just keeps you in this loop all the time. Whereas if you sit with plant medicines, or you sit with plant medicines and good facilitators that can help you release a lot of this stuff, it's absolutely next level. You're never going to get that from a doctor.
Yeah. The other thing for me is the questions that should be asked when somebody goes to the doctor. You know, how much exercise are you doing? How much alcohol do you drink? How much recreational drugs do you take? You know, what's going on in your life? You know, because again, I'm not a doctor and I'm not an expert, but for me, there's few people I know that have gone to get antidepressants. But in my opinion, I feel like there could be preventative steps to take before you resort to taking an antidepressant.
Yeah.
If you're not exercising at all, if you're eating shit every day, ultra processed food, you know, you're not looking at the things that you're grateful for, then no wonder you feel like shit.
Yeah.
Implement those different steps. And then if you exhaust every option, then look at an additional step to take. But before you've done that, I think,
Yeah, and I totally agree. And it's what a lot of people don't realise is because they're so distracted as well day to day, right? You're literally hit with distraction all the time. If there's not someone on your phone, someone on the telly, someone on the radio, something, you know, on the news, whatever it is, right? And it just barrages you a lot of time with negativity. So people are often in these lower states of emotion, like fear, anger, apathy, you know, greed, like all this kind of stuff. It consumes them, so they can't see a way out of it. And so the next thing they turn to an energy drink because it helps them escape their reality. And then they go, I'm going to smash a bag of Haribo, and then I'm going to smash this, I'm going to smash this, like comfort eating and stuff like that, because they're so like unhappy with their actual life. So they're not looking at actually like what is it that's actually making them unhappy. Like what aren't you fixing? Not just in the body, but actually your whole environment. And a lot of people, especially in UK, and it's the same blueprint in America, Australia, places like that. A lot of people are surrounded by people nowadays that are like health conscious. Do you know what I mean? You know, like my mum and stepdad run a pub in Dorset. You know, all the people who go in there are just like mega unhealthy. You know, so it kind of like everyone's kind of like on the same bandwidth of like negativity. Do you see what I mean?
you said something about your reality that really it sort of touched a chord with me, and it's something that I heard from my brother. My brother passed away 10 years ago. He took his own life, unfortunately, but he had a severe addiction to ketamine.
Yeah.
And that would be one question I'd ask him constantly, is like, why the fuck do you keep taking this drug? And his response would be, it's an escape from reality. So knowing what I know now, the question I would ask my brother would be, well, why do you want to escape your reality? Why are you so unhappy? At the time, I was 19, I didn't know what I know now, and I just used to get really frustrated with him, like most people would. But it's interesting that it doesn't just need to be a recreational drug, it can be a lot of other vices, like you said, like sugar and whatever else.
We're surrounded by it. So you look at most high streets now. I've done a lot of videos recently on my Instagram showing people the low density of these high streets and what they've turned into. So you've literally got, I did one of like the far end of Lincoln.
I saw that one,
Yeah, so the top end of Lincoln is beautiful, like the cathedral, the castle. Everyone just seems so much consciously aware. You know, businesses that are local, they're all thriving. You go down the bottom end, and it's literally been taken over, and it's a blueprint in every single town now. So you got like these vape shops, you got these fake food shops, as they call them, which just serve energy drinks, sweets, sugar, right? You've got like your nail bars, Turkish barbers, Greggs, you know, all these things that all accumulated within the same vicinity of each other. So the whole thing is a well-oiled machine, right?
Yeah.
And it literally it's making all these people at the top lots of money, right? So you've got people from abroad that have got a very unhappy life, poor life, whatever it may be, wherever they are, and they just want a better life, right? So they all come here en masse, like promise a better life, like, but yeah, you set up your own business and do this, do that. And then, but if you actually look at all the things that I named, every single one of them poison the native people.
Yeah.
And then, so the native people are getting more unhealthy, overweight, obesity's off the scale, you know, addictions, etc., etc., etc. So then they all turn to stuff to escape the reality, which is pharmaceuticals and going to the doctors and stuff like that. It just goes round in a big cycle. And then more people are like dumbed down. They're not consciously aware. Yeah.
The other thing for me is the information comes from a reputable source, let's say. Where I live in Huddersfield, it's got a place called Home Firth, which is a lovely part of Huddersfield, and the village next to it is Hunley, which again, nice area. And then there's a village next to that called Berry Brow, which isn't quite as nice. And there's two high-rise flats there that are council flats. And again, this is coming from the source that, you know, you got drug addicts, alcoholics, immigrants, etc. they're knocking those down, rebuilding them. They're knocking them down, rebuilding them, and they're rehousing every single person in there somewhere else free of charge, and also giving them a relocation fee of what initially proposed was £6,000. That they then argued against it and said that they wanted £8,000. So they're now getting £8,000 each just to be moved into a house for free, and there's about 400 flats. So that's 400 times £8,000 of taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
For what? To relocate those kind of people.
Yeah.
And for me, it's I find it infuriating. I'm a business owner, entrepreneur, and I work my ass off, and I pay a lot in tax. And then you hear about those situations where your tax is going, and you see the people that they're just for me. There's no incentive in the UK for people to work hard, because you get given everything for nothing.
Yeah.
So where is your incentive to work hard? And the people are working hard and paying the majority of the tax. It's going on the people that can't be asked to do anything. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, but I think also what it's forcing people to lose at a generational level is our identity of being British.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's nothing against like foreign people coming in. It's like there's some people here this country is super patriotic, which is fantastic. And we live on quite a small island, right? But what's interesting?
Are you patriotic?
Yeah, I'm patriotic because I've served in the forces and stuff like that. But I want to see England in peace. That's it. That's what I'm patriotic for. I'm not patriotic for like England being the best, UK being the best. Rule Britannia and stuff like that. Like if I could flick a switch, like I'd collapse the whole Commonwealth and the control.
When you say the Commonwealth,
like all the Commonwealth countries that the British Commonwealth have had control over for centuries.
what about the Crown?
Get rid of it. Like we don't like. I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about the block of flats being built. What about a bloke sat there with a £30 million hat on? Do you know what I mean? Well, we've got starving veterans on the street that fought in Afghan and Iraq.
So what do you know with that then? So when you join the army, you're fighting for the Crown, essentially.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. But what was your motivation to join the army, if that's your opinion, or has your opinion changed?
My opinion's always been the same.
Right.
I've never been I've been very anti-royal.
Right.
And I don't mean like I want to see them off of their heads and that. I mean, I just never seen the point in it.
For me, in my opinion, again, there's a lot that's questionable.
Yeah.
People say, they come in, they contribute. People contribute to our economy because of the Crown, etc. And there is an argument for that. But then also you look at the amount of money that is spent to, Buckingham Palace had a £400 million refurb.
Yeah.
Where.
But people will naturally argue because that's their programming, right?
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
oh, it's so nice to have a queen or a king or whatever it is, right? Because it's all airy-fairy and it's like a movie, right? Whereas actually the truth is, doesn't matter how much money they bring in, we've literally just spoke about what they're doing to people of their own country, right? And they're doing it right now, right? They're putting these migrants in all these hotels at whatever cost. They're doing all this kind of stuff. You've got hundreds of thousands of veterans who are homeless on the streets that aren't being looked after, ever. They're totally shat on when you leave the military, plus all the other homeless people that we have who are British. You've got, people in a lot of dire straits that need genuine help that don't get it. So it doesn't really matter how much the royals are bringing in, really. We don't actually know how much they're bringing in and where it actually goes. So that's always been the way I've looked at it.
Just a quick one. Most of you watching this episode aren't yet subscribed. So if you want your weekly motivation from some incredible guests, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn your notifications on.
But going back to your question about joining the army, mine was just probably what a lot of lads do, like to get, because I was 19 when I joined. So it's more like to get out of the shit, really, because I'd my whole life was based on becoming a footballer.
Right.
Like a lot of lads. My stepdad was in the army as well, so I was kind of like used to it. So I lived in Germany for a lot of my whole school years, basically. And so I was playing football all the time. I actually come here to Barnsley on trial when I was 15. Yeah, it was quite weird actually driving. But I was like, I've been here since I was 15. Wow. So I then left school and was playing football in Bournemouth, and I was just like, things were going great. And I just had this weird injury where I severed a nerve on the left side of my left knee, and it stopped me like feeling my toes and that properly. So that kind of like ruined that, and I was just like a lot of lads, I haven't got a plan B.
So the army was plan B.
Yeah, so but I went down that route of like hang around with the wrong crowds for a bit, getting house parties, coke, like too much of alcohol, all that kind of stuff. And it just got to the point where I was like, I need to do something with my life. And I was just going past the careers office, and I was like, it kind of been in the back of my head. So I went inside and I came out, signed up. Like it was literally in and out.
How did the army? How many years did you serve in the army?
15 in total.
I know you said there was two. There was two
Yeah,
separate.
15 in total. Yeah.
How did, again, with your ideas about the way that the country is, being in the army for that long would have also shaped your perspective on things?
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
For the first time that you served, how did that shape who you are and your thesis and perspective on the world?
Well, I think if we go back to like what we talked about at the start about mission consciousness, right? I've always had a high level of consciousness. Sure, I've always been the observer. I've always seen things differently to a lot of people. I've always sort of could see things happening. I actually joined when 9/11 happened. And when I saw it as a 19-year-old, I was like, something don't feel right with it. Just genuinely doesn't feel right. And I was living with my granddad at the time. He was he was in the war, really switched on guy, didn't own a phone, didn't own a computer, nothing like that. And he felt the same. And then that was obviously September 2001. And then in early 2002, I was in my phase 2 training because I joined the Royal Engineers. And obviously one of the big things engineers do is demolitions. Right. So like I'm doing all the learning and the lessons and that to do with demolitions. We're doing it practically. We're getting taught about steel cutting charges and stuff like that. And then I'm rewatching these videos going, they're demolitions in the buildings, and you can literally see it over and over again.
So obviously it's a sensitive subject even still to this day. Demolitions by the US or by...
No, by outside. Well, a mixture of US and Israeli Mossad, which is like their CIA basically.
Right.
I've done some big podcasts on it with structural engineers and all sorts, like about how they were collapsed and what actually happened.
So you don't think the plane went into it?
No, there was no planes.
Really?
Yeah, holographic projection. So yeah, I've done some big podcasts. Like if anyone wants later look back on them, like, and it's becoming well known.
So what was the sorry to interrupt, mate. What was the reasoning for that then? Do you think?
Because at the time they wanted to bring in a fair, organic quantum financial system and totally collapse the Rothschilds banking system, the whole Federal Reserve, just like JFK did.
The Rothschild family is the
overarching sort of like that's been around for quite a long time. Yeah. So the Rothschild banking system had, just like Putin doesn't want to have a Rothschild banking system, just like Saddam Hussein didn't, just like Gaddafi didn't. And funny enough, they've all been taken out or they're trying to be taken out. So that whole, again, it's a massive beast of a system. Like you could do like a 10-hour podcast on like
how long we got
breaking down the structure of it all, right? But again, I didn't know all that at that time in 2001, but I could see that this was done on purpose. And I was, next thing I know, it was like, right, we're going into Iraq. And I was just like, right, okay, who's got all the oil? Who's got all this? Who's got all that?
So for the people, because again, I was 6 in 2001. And obviously since it happened, I've understood more and more about it. But for the people watching that don't know what happened or don't know as much as we do, who are the people that were blamed for it, or who do we think actually did it?
What, as in 9/11?
Yeah, who did?
Yeah, so initially it was blamed on a guy called Osama bin Laden, who turns out is just a character. And it was very obvious because when I was in Afghan around the 10th anniversary of 9/11 in 2011, he still hadn't been taken out, right? And I was literally just like talking to the lads going, at any one time, there's 1 million NATO troops in Afghan, right?
Again, when you say NATO, just for people that don't know.
So it's a collective of nations, militaries, or and their contractors, etc.
Sure.
So I'm like there with the lads going like, I got 1 million blokes right from NATO countries here at any one time. It's taken 10 years. It's been since the anniversary of 9/11. The CIA and MI6 and all these like Five Eyes agencies like always say, like, yeah, we can stick a home missile for your letterbox if we wanted to and take you out. So how has it taken 10 years to find a bloke on a donkey that's supposedly taking down like all these buildings? So I mean, so I was asking those questions then.
And how did that go down when you were asking those questions?
A lot of lads were just agreeing, just like when we were there. A lot of them, I got brothers in the forces as well, he's special forces, and even him and the special forces lads are like, "What the fuck are we doing here?"
Yeah.
Because it's so archaic.
So that must have been very frustrating at the time because
Yeah, because you've got lads dying again.
yeah,
injured,
yeah.
you know.
That's my point exactly. You've got hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people going into a war in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and all these other wars, dying for what reason? Like why so many young lads?
They're bankers' wars, aren't they? Again, it comes down to the banking thing. So it's all about. It doesn't matter whether it's a war or a pandemic or whatever it is. It's all about problem, reaction, solution. So you create the problem, right? So you get a character to supposedly put 2 planes into the Twin Towers, collapse the buildings, cause all that murder, death, kill that was done on that day, confusion. All of a sudden, the whole of America's angry. They all hate Muslims. Like the same as in UK. Everyone was looking at anyone in a burqa or anything as a potential terrorist. Like that's what suddenly was programmed into people. You know, it was just horrendous for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and then the parents were all like that. They were very kind of anti-Muslim, so the kids would be anti-Muslim. And that's been a battle in itself, you know, for Muslim people who are just genuine people, right?
You've got good and bad in every religion and walk of life, haven't you?
Exactly, and that's what they play off. So the people then are fighting amongst each other, and then obviously we went into Afghanistan like straight away. But the fact that I was pointing out to people, the fact that the newspaper the next day in UK was saying who it was, I was like, bearing in mind the newspapers are printed that night, the night before, right?
So how would they know?
And we're 5 hours ahead of Eastern time. So like, how would they have known exactly who it was to the T, and have been able to print all those newspapers in that time? So obviously, I was asking a lot of these questions then, and then next thing you know, we're going into Iraq, March 2003, to take down Saddam Hussein, and that's all it was. It was a systematic takedown of like these leaders in places, and then not long after that, Gaddafi was taken out.
Do you know the Taliban? Correct me if I'm wrong. The Taliban was America giving arms to
CIA.
people in Afghanistan.
Yeah, CIA.
To fight against Saddam Hussein.
No. CIA were funding and training Taliban to fight against us and American soldiers to keep the war going.
Right. Okay. But I understand that was not what everyone else thinks, though, is it? People, the CIA or America funded the Taliban to fight against. Who was it that people thought that they were supposed to fight against?
There's loads of tribes. There's all sorts of stuff going on. So I mean, it's quite confusing as well. So it's like, even in Iraq as well, you've got like the Sunnis and the Shias. Then you've got like the Mahdi army, and it's like it's all about the territory, and it's just you're just like, who are you actually fighting? You know what I mean? Because there's different elements of the religion involved and stuff like that, and it's all a bit chaotic.
Yeah.
But yeah, the CIA funded like the Taliban initially, like years ago, to fight the Russians, Iranians. You know what I mean? It's constantly about bringing people into war. But the actual cusp of it is in Afghanistan. The CIA were funding the Taliban and that to protect the poppy fields.
Right.
Because 80% of the world's heroin comes from Afghanistan.
Right. And obviously the USA are the biggest provider of.
Yeah, and
or is it changed now? Is it Saudi Arabia?
Oh, it will change all the time. But like the CIA basically owned the poppy fields.
Right.
That's how they were funding all their stuff, and like so there was constant stuff going out on the streets. Because when I was there, I was like, if this is killing all our people, why aren't we setting fire to these fields? Why aren't we just paying the farmers off with like, here you go, here's $1,000. That's like pocket change, right? But to him, it's massive. And just taking their fields out never happened. So we were literally there protecting heroin. That's what I mean. It's all, and this is this American industrial complex, not like as in America under Trump. This is this previous American industrial complex.
Who was the
under the Bushes, the Clintons, the
was
Obamas?
that the Republican Party?
The Democrats.
Democrats. I thought Bush was Republican.
Democrats are all your Bush, Clintons, Obama, Biden.
So right. But Donald Trump is Republican.
Yeah, so they're all the same. Those four I mentioned, they're all part of the same cohort of axis of, let's call it axis of evil. They're not nice people.
Right.
You know, they're controlled obviously higher up. It's a massive minefield.
And then I was looking through social media the other day. There was an interesting video that I came across while Donald Trump was talking about Obama. Just for, again, people don't know the video.
So he's calling them out now. So we're at a point in history where people, well, we talk about consciousness, people can accept this information now. you're still going to have loads of people that could be, in UK especially, they've literally indoctrinated people to hate Donald Trump for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But
I was having this conversation.
Yeah, the
earlier.
media have done that on purpose because of actually everything he's doing is as per executive orders that he's actually signed and written and brought into America. And the UK don't want them brought in over here because it will literally cripple everything the government here is trying to do. So this is why him being in Scotland's beautiful. And Keir Starmer was literally sat there yesterday like a little girl, just like squirming. You know, there was such a gulfing masculinity between the two. It was just like unreal, and leadership.
Yeah, I was having a conversation earlier. I was the guest on a podcast, and this wasn't the conversation on the podcast, but when we went for breakfast, and we were saying about the state of affairs in the UK at the minute and the government that we've got, and his partner is Russian. And he was saying that, just a very small example of the conversation, he was saying that if in the UAE, if somebody had done something wrong and they was in prison, it was a Russian person, then the Russian were like, well, we're going to come over and fucking do what we need to do and get this person back. Whereas if it's a British person in UAE and they're locked up in prison, then we're like, oh, well, that's not our problem.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's the same with, they just seem, not that I agree or disagree or anything like that, but as a country, we just don't seem to have that authority like we used to.
No, we're not the country we used to be. Like, and I think that's what people need to remember. But I think what we're seeing everywhere is the collapse of all the systems in the whole UK.
Yeah.
And it's actually a positive thing. Because as
Why positive?
Because as the systems are collapsing, society are turning around going, I don't want to be part of this country, like this world that they're trying to make for us, right? This reality they're trying to create. So then the collective come together and actually rebuild the earth they want to live in. And that's why communities like we've built, for example, are so important, because they've all got huge ideas, they've all got initiative, they've all got like projects that they want to run, and things like that. And that people are working on that every day. So the financial system's on its arse, the NHS is on its arse. There's whistleblowers coming out of every corner at the moment about the NHS to do with different parts, you know, whether it's cancer or midwifery or whatever that is. Obviously, you've got the government itself doing its own job of putting it on.
Do you vote?
No, never voted in my life. No,
No vote, no.
You're wasting your time. It's all rigged. You know, every single one. It's the same in every country, though. So same in America, same in here, same in most like countries that have a democracy. Right? It's red or blue. Two cheeks of the same ass. It doesn't matter. Look, if you've lived a few decades, you know, you would have lived through Labour.
How old are you now, mate?
I'm 42.
42, yeah.
So you would have lived through Labour, Conservative, Labour, blah, 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 right? It's only been them two. Same in America, Republicans, Democrats, right?
Do they have any other parties in America?
Probably. They just don't get onto the media. Yeah. But that said, what leader or a politician has actually delivered on their word and everything they promised leading up to it? Like never. So
Nobody.
As a country, as a population, we're not learning our lesson. So you only got to look at the word government, right? You just break it down into two. Govern, control, ment is the mind, control the mind. All right, so the government's there to control the mind of the population in every country. Same with politics. Poly means many. Ticks, blood-sucking parasites, right? Full of MPs. None of them are legit. None of them are for people. The ones that sit in an office are just there as foot soldiers to take a few complaints in. And it's the same blueprint in every country. Parliament, parlay to speak, menti in Greek lies, speak lies. You know, so it's all in the words, and it's all an act, and they call everything an act. We're putting through the something act. We're putting through this act. It is all an act because nothing ever gets fulfilled.
I'll be honest, mate. I don't watch the news ever. I intentionally avoid the news like the plague. Obviously, I'll hear about certain things if I ever scroll on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, but I don't follow the news because, for me, why would you? It's all negative. It's all agendaed towards what they want you to think and believe.
It's just programming. That's what it is. You know, with the news and stuff like that, again, that's just another form of mind control.
Yeah.
You know, and what is it mostly they put out? Stuff about the government.
Yeah.
Stuff about...
It's interesting as well about the news because, like you said earlier, right, so, you know, the agenda of the UK media is to hate Donald Trump. And I've been to Mexico a few times in the last few years. I love speaking to people from the US. One, because I think they're just the most enthusiastic, friendly people.
Poetic.
Yeah, they're just so enthusiastic, and I just love speaking to them because they're just like English people generally are quite sarcastic and quite negative. And I think of myself as the opposite. I'm very positive and I love to big people up and support people. So when I'm speaking to Americans, I love it. But one thing I love about Americans is they are so patriotic. Like they're either blue or red. They're either Republican or Democrat. And I was sat in the pool around the Americans. And I thought I hate to ask, but what is your opinion on Donald Trump? Because in England, we're programmed to hate him, and we see certain things, and you can sort of understand why. But what is your opinion? And two people in the same family, so divided, but their common opinion was, despite the differences of opinion, they all had the same opinion that when he's president, the economy seems to boom.
Yeah.
They might disagree with certain things he says or does, but that seems to be the one thing. And for me, in the UK, the economy isn't great.
No.
So it's just an interesting one getting, and I know you're very strong on different perspectives and challenging the information that you've been given. And it's quite easy to sit and absorb information and take it for what it is.
Yeah.
But for me, I just found that really fascinating. You know, I don't want to sit here and say, you know, I'm right or wrong, because I'm not. I'm just giving my opinion on the situation. And for me, when you go and you take different perspectives from people in the actual country, it's just really fascinating to understand what they believe about that individual.
Yeah, well, firstly, it shows you like he's without doubt the most famous person in the world, like, and most spoken about person in the world by far. He's definitely the right man for the job, because you've got to have somebody that just doesn't take any shit, just doesn't care what comes his way or whatever that may be, right? But he's still representing people. He's representing humanity. He's representing like what's happened to the US over the last 4 years. And what blows my mind is that you got like certain influencers, for example, on social media, like just spend all day, every day bashing Trump, right? But like didn't spend all day, every day bashing fake Joe Biden, who was literally destroyed the country in the first place, turned it into fentanyl cities everywhere, like let millions of migrants like illegally over the border to flood the country, you know, led people to the highest rates of inflation ever. Like, I was like, where were you then bashing them then? And haven't said anything since. So it just goes to show you the power the media has over how it programs people's minds.
It's very split in the US as well, as far as I'm aware. The lot of the mainstream media, they're either Democrat or they're Republican, aren't they? And obviously, depending which news stream you absorb, it obviously warps your.
But the best thing to do is step back and again just observe and actually just watch how both sides act. And at the end of the day, it's no different to whether they're Christian or Muslim. It's still a division, blue or red. It's the same as football teams, United or City, blue or red. You know, Liverpool, Everton, blue or red. Like sport divides people. Although sport, you know, sport's got its place. Sport, religion, vote, politics, like it just all divides people in different ways.
And it's sad in a lot of ways, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, we're all just human beings.
100%.
And and I always say it doesn't matter. One thing I really do believe is whether you are straight, gay, transgender, Muslim, black, white, whatever. If you are a good person, you are a good person.
Yeah.
If you do right by others, you do right by others.
Yeah.
If you are black, white, Muslim, Christian, straight, gay, whatever, and you're a dickhead, you're a dickhead.
You're a dickhead.
It don't matter.
Yeah, but that's the good point about being neutral. You say it how it is as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like, sorry, you're a dickhead.
Yeah.
Like,
It
doesn't matter the template.
Yeah.
Like how you project everything you project is of a dickhead. Like literally. And you know, when you've seen the best and the worst in humanity, like what humans can do to each other, like in war and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, really gives you the strong feeling of how important that is. Of like, and that's why I do what I do now. You know, why we do what we do with our community, very much humanitarian based. Not like raising money for charities or that stuff. It's about showing people the power of the human body and the mind. You know, like beyond all these programs and these viruses and these wars and like all this stuff is just there to consume us and keep us in fear. You know, and that's basically the aim of what we do on a daily basis and why we do it.
How is that integrated for you from your Monday to Friday then? How does that look? You obviously got a huge mission, and you know you've got a plan and you know what you're doing moving forward. How does that look moving forward? Like, what is it on a day to day? How do you integrate these ideas and these beliefs?
So I don't treat anything like a 9 to 5 because that's like, and I don't do that with what we do because otherwise I just feel like I'm trapped, you know. And I'm not dissing anyone in a 9 to 5. I'm just saying, like,
your opinion. Yeah.
It's just like it just does not suit me. Like I do not conform. I can't be told what to do.
Have you ever, apart from being in the army, have you ever had that?
Yeah, no, even when I was in the army, like I used to disagree all the time. You know, I used to get told by my superiors, "They go do that," and I'd be like, "Why? It's fucking stupid." Like, see you later. You know what I mean? I was like, I got into the shit quite a lot for it.
Sure.
But I've always spoke my mind, you know, and refused to have my mind controlled, and that's one of the big things. But like from a day-to-day perspective, it all depends. We kind of plan things like 2 months in the future. So we've got a lot of our live events that we do around the country. You know, they're really well attended now. People are coming to get their own version of like self-healing, to understand deeper aspects of themselves. They often walk away with like a lot of answers to things, and we show them how to get them. So we plan those events, obviously with venues and stuff like that. But every single week, I'm very much heading into our community. So obviously people are joining our community all the time. So Monday night, I run a live meditation where I take people through like a powerful meditation every night, every Monday live on Zoom within the community. Wednesday night, I do what I call a decode. So like everything that's going on in the world, I like decode it all. And sometimes I bring friends on who are like, do all that kind of stuff as well.
Wait, is this on Zoom as well?
Yeah, through our community. So all our community members all like jump on, and they all interact with each other. So you've got people from like Canada on there, like Australia, like, you know, UK, and they're all chatting away like they're best friends and know each other forever.
I love that.
Which is great because so many people feel quite lost at the minute, you know, and alone. So that's a weekly thing for me, and then I'm recording podcasts as well.
You have your own podcast, don't you?
Yeah, but I do it all on Zoom. I don't have a studio and stuff like that. I just do it on Zoom.
This podcast is fueled by Prep. Prep is a nutrition-first meal prep company that allows me to have high-quality meals without spending hours in the kitchen. As a business owner that prioritizes their health and fitness, Prep allows me to hit my goals for the day without sacrificing loads of time. My personal favorite is the Cajun salmon, but if that's not for you, then there is plenty of other options as well, including vegetarian and halal. And the best part, you get 10% off your order when you use the code TOM10 at the checkout. That's TOM10 at prepuk.com. Who was the most fascinating person you've spoken to so far?
Over the fascinating is a different.
Fascinating. What's your favourite conversation that you've had?
I think my favourite conversation, because it was so out there for so many people, but it was watched by hundreds of thousands, was with a guy who, Dale Harder his name is. You can research him on, anyone can research him on YouTube and stuff like that. Dale Harder is an ex-NASA engineer. The podcast is on my Rumble channel, and in the 60s, 70s was a NASA engineer. But then he soon kind of like awoken to like a deeper aspect of himself, which was like galactic.
Right.
So obviously worked out was then questioning the moon landings and everything else like that, right? Yeah. Which many people do. And then there was a really deep conversation about how it was almost explaining if anyone's seen Avatar, do you know when Jake, the Marine guy, have you seen Avatar?
I've seen it. Yeah.
So he's in a wheelchair, and then he gets in a pod,
and then he gets into the Avatar,
and then he's in a blue thing.
Yeah,
right? So he was basically explaining himself as that, whereas Avatar's up on a ship. Right. So I'd gone from having a week before a podcast about stuff that's going on with government and the world and war or something like that, to then interviewing this guy the next week, and it was such a contrast. But it took people on this massive journey, and it was actually really well received. So I'd say that was the most like fascinating one. I've interviewed Tommy Robinson.
How was that?
Yeah, that was really interesting actually. I used to have a studio when I lived down south, so he came to that. That was and he'd just finished that documentary, the Rape of Britain. So that was quite fascinating, and I have a proper chat with him. Because I like to get a feel for people as well, because sometimes you've got to be a bit cautious. Like you might see a lot of these people on TV.
What was your opinion on it?
I was trying to work out if he was not if he was controlled opposition, but like is he there to just keep the division going.
Right.
Because it's. Do you know what I mean? I was trying to work out for myself.
What was your opinion then?
I'm still undecided.
Right.
I'm still undecided. You know,
What's
but it doesn't. In my reality right now, it doesn't really matter because I'm kind of like, people either think this bad or that bad, but that's up to them. You know, it's not my place to like call them out and be like you're this or you're that. And
with what I've just had a thought of a question that I want to ask. With your opinion on big pharma and everything else that we've spoke about, what is your opinion on artificial intelligence and how does that fit into the puzzle?
So AI has actually been around for hundreds of thousands of years.
Okay.
There's multiple different types of AI. So again, that's part of our upbringing and what's released to us. You know, to you know, from everything to the iPhone to Siri to whatever it is, right? We gradually have
Series.
literally popped up.
Yeah, it's just popped up.
It's done its job. Maybe it's got the answer. But we've systematically, gradually, throughout our lives, had things released to us, technology, right?
Do you think that's mad though? Like that's the whole point of what you're saying.
Yeah, the whole point.
You talk about it, and it's literally listening straight away to what.
So your Alexas, that thing.
Yeah.
You know, all these voice recognition things literally capture your vibration and all that data.
I rang somebody once by accident. I was wrongly slating somebody, and I rang them, and my phone called that person. And I was saying not very nice things about them. I'll not say who it is. And then I realised it had called them and they could hear what I was saying.
There you go. It just shows you like what it can do. But like even now, you know, but there is actually positives to it, right? So you know, we've been gradually introduced to all these like different types of tech like throughout our lives, yeah. And they all serve their benefits, all serve their purposes. You know, we've gone from like a Walkman with a cassette tape to well, not even any device now. You just listen to it on Spotify or whatever. You know, so they all have the technology side has its benefits, but with AI, it can have people's fear is that it takes over humans, human uses and stuff like that. But again, if you're constantly focusing on like the fear side of AI, that's all you're going to focus on. But like you can actually use it to like to real benefit. There's actually a lot of positive AIs, and so if you're consciously focusing on the positive AI in your reality, that AI will give you what you need in your reality. So think of yourself like literally you're in Grand Theft Auto, you're in a computer game, right? Grand Theft Auto is a really good example because you are the main character in GTA, aren't you? And you know, I'm not saying go around whacking prostitutes in a golf club and throwing them to cars. I mean, like, you know, get a cops to chase her. But like, you can literally go to all these different neighborhoods. You go to a shop, you get new clothes, you do the stuff, right? That's actually kind of everyday stuff. But you always get what you need, don't you? And you can actually use AI in a similar way to produce what you need, like as it gets to kind of know you. But it's having that conscious awareness that it's not going to take over you, or you're not going to allow it to take over you and do everything for you. You're in control. So there is actually positive AI. So that it's not all negative. It's
I never see it as I've never seen it as negative.
Yeah, but you can get like caught up with like, oh, it just does everything for me, and I'll just sit here and do nothing.
Yeah. I just like the amount of time it saves me.
Well, I'll tell you one of the best things, right, is that we're not taught law at school, are we?
No.
For a reason. Actually, most modern day police now aren't taught hardly anything to do with law. They're just like agents in Lumi vests who go around, right? If you actually quote law to them, hardly any of them know what you're talking about. I've seen it so many times, like especially during COVID, on like when the protests and all this kind of stuff. Because I've always just watched how they operate, and I've seen it with my own eyes. Right? They don't know anything about common law. Obviously, most things to do with the judiciary system is they use. There's two different languages. You've got legals and legalese.
Right.
You know, in the court systems, like stuff like that. 99% of the population don't know that. So if you like, you get summons to court and pay your council tax, for example. You can actually use these a proper AI template to challenge it with a proper legally worded letter that you would never write yourself. You see what I mean? So you could literally put into ChatGPT or Grok on X, well, I'm going to court, I've been summoned for this, but like this is actually what I've challenged so far. This hasn't been answered. Where do I stand with this? Give me a letter, and it'll literally produce a letter for you. Obviously, you delete and insert your details.
Yeah.
You know, something that you wouldn't be able to do
on your own.
Unless you're paying 250 quid, 250 quid solicitor, for example.
Yeah.
You know, that's one example where it can help you out very beneficially. you know, producing PDFs for presentations and, you know, all that kind of stuff based on the input that you need. You know, so it does have a lot of actual benefits. It's not taking away your creative mind. That's the clear thing. It's like, don't allow it to take away your creative mind. As soon as it's taking away your creativity, then you're just in logic where you're just like a robot. That's where the fear is between.
What's your opinion on the being an ex-soldier yourself, the creating AI bots to replace soldiers? What's your opinion on that?
I mean, I don't think it'll have its place. You know, I can't see men and women wanting to fight alongside an AI bot personally.
But what if,
That's
so
kind of like the chance humor.
from your perspective earlier, you said about why are we here? Like, why are you risking our death? What is the actual point to then replace that with a bot, whether it gets destroyed or doesn't? It's not an actual human life.
So to be honest with you, mate, I don't actually put that much thought into that, because I think the first and only thing that needs to be focused on is collapsing all war timelines.
Right.
So no one's at war. So we don't even have a need for that shit.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like that's how I focus my mind on. Having been to, you know, and asked that question of why are we here? You know, as soon as you collapse like all the war timelines, you're removing all the serious amounts of child trafficking that happens as a result of war every single time. You're talking like hundreds of thousands of children that get misplaced. You know, you're reducing all of that. You'll reduce poverty. You'll reduce, you know, the need for all this humanitarian aid in countries like Africa and all this kind of stuff just by eradicating war.
But that's never going to happen, though, is it?
I think it will.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think that's part of this Trump administration. It's not just the man; it's the administration. His job is to do that. That's why That's why yesterday he's told Putin, "You've got 10 days to make peace. That's it. End of." You know, he's basically very quickly squashed all the stuff between Israel and Iran. Very quickly, you know, stuff that's happened in Africa squashed. So, and I think that's you can see it as very much part of their remit is to collapse war, and that's one of the reasons why we pay so much tax. Like tax was invented to support war like hundreds of years ago, and they just never took it away. So you collapse war, you reduce the tax. That's why Trump's talking about now as in abolishing income tax. He spoke yesterday about, you know, they put that inheritance tax on the farmers and that, like here in the UK. Like he said, they call it estates tax. Like they completely abolished it.
In the US?
In the US.
Right.
And he's purposely saying this on TV in the interview with Starmer. So every Brit is going like, why the fuck are we like the US? Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant tactic, like what they're doing.
Yeah. There's a lot of things in the UK that are questionable, especially the amount of tax that you pay. I think if you was to earn 200 grand in the UK income tax out of every single country I'm trying to explain this in the right way. In the UK, if you earn 200 grand compared to every other country in Europe and pretty much other countries in the world, you come out with less than every other country with income tax and etc.
But where does it go?
Well,
I mean, look at the state of the place.
I mean, for me, in my opinion, I am happy to pay tax, but it's when people, like I said earlier, people come in and pay, don't do anything, and then your tax goes on them. That's the thing I find frustrating. You know, yes, the NHS, there's lots of opinions on the NHS, but at the end of the day, you know, I've been in hospital multiple times over my life, and people have saved my life as a result of the NHS, which I'm always eternally grateful for. And I know that my tax is paid for the NHS; it's free at the end of the day. But it's the other side of it. It's like when you're paying an X amount of tax, and then that tax is going on things that, you know, there's constantly things going on in the world, and you just question where is it going and why so much. That's
it's just like anything else. Like it all stops, or the answers are given when everyone stands up and says no.
Yeah.
Same as like your council tax, right? Like it's complete fraud. Like it doesn't go on anything apart from in the pockets of people, and it funds wars and funds terrorism. Right? Like, I've proved it many times. That's why I haven't paid it in several years and refused to pay it. Right? And there's millions of people now that are doing the same thing because you know, they send you a bill and they can't actually prove what it goes on. So it's just, but they just prey off the fear.
Isn't it?
Yeah, they prey off the fear that everyone's just going to pay it because it's the thing. because your parents paid it and their parents paid it. You know, same with, they're like, oh, we need to pump your gas and electric up because there's a war going on in Ukraine. Cheers for that.
Yeah.
Like, why are we getting the brunt of it?
Yeah.
So you know, and so it's when people stand up and say no, is when it all collapses. It's as simple as that.
But do you think that many people will stand up and say
They're
no?
doing it now. You know, there's, you know.
But I mean, when is that going to happen?
Over this next year, 100%.
You think? Yeah.
Because I've been so observant and like obviously reporting on so many things. You know, everything from like COVID all the way forward.
Yeah.
I've seen it all, and I'm seeing it happening now. So like the people have had enough in this country. You know, you got to look at all the people on the streets at the minute to do with the migrant stuff. You know, as well as paying the cost of living is just really stupid. You know what I mean? The average bag of shopping at Tesco's is like 35 quid. Just for a bag of shopping.
Yeah.
You know,
Especially if you go to a co-op on a corner.
yeah. Look at all the blokes who are whinging because of the price of a pint. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's how you piss the men off in England.
Yeah.
Up the price of milk and beer.
Yeah. So AJ, we've discussed a lot. We've gone over a lot of different topics. What is your primary objective in the next 6 months? Well, if you get to let's say at the end of the year, if you get to December the 31st, what do you want to have achieved by that day? Primary objective.
The rebuild of what I call New Earth.
Elaborate.
So that comes in many forms. So it's like kind of I really want. I'm starting to do it a lot more now, but I want to work with leaders.
Okay.
So our live events and stuff like that is all about activating people. So it's activating the deeper aspects of people so they go on and achieve great things. So I want to work with leaders and teams of people that then have a bigger impact on all their communities. You know, rather than just like individuals who turn up to our events and then go back to their work the next day. So I've got a lot of things going on right now where I'm connecting with all the right people to take them through a process so they can just really go deep within inside themselves, and then it's literally activates massive things in them, so they then like cascade that then to all their peers and subordinates, etc. So that's how we rebuild stuff, because everyone's sick of living in this situation, especially in this country, right? All the lies, the corruption, the greed, just how untidy everything is, the division, like all that stuff, cost of living, blah blah blah. Like collectively with the humanity, the people, the population of this country is what stops all that. But it's a case of like that whole collective then being in the middle, basically having a go at this life that they're currently living in and going, no, we've had enough. Don't want to be in this life anymore. Don't want to live this kind of life. Let's go over here. We rebuild ourselves, because it's got to be down to humanity. It's about taking your power back and your sovereignty. Because our sovereignty is everything. You know what I mean? We've had our sovereignty stripped off us since we were kids, and our parents and their parents. You know, so we're constantly giving our power away to the government for the answers, or the news, or your doctor, or you're constantly giving your power away all the time. It's about humanity taking their power back. That's obviously part of the main goal, is to show people how to take it back, as individuals, as businesses, as families, as communities. Bringing that community spirit back that was been destroyed in this country. You know, people once again sit around the grandparents' house on a Sunday, like I did, with all their cousins, no mobile phones in sight, chatting. You know, that doesn't happen anymore. You know what I mean? Because people are only got a day off on a Sunday, so they need to get to the shops. Like, going back to all that real raw community basic stuff and integrating just like genuine cohesion within the family household. So the kids aren't upstairs on their devices and the parents are downstairs on Netflix every night because they're just knackered from working their ass off to pay ridiculous tax, right? Just stripping all that back and getting people to realise that there is another world there and we can build it together. Yeah. So that's the main. That is that mission consciousness, like.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the journey that you go on. I want to thank you, mate. Thank you for sharing your perspectives and challenging the mainstream media. And there's a lot of things in there that I think people can take note of and can take away with them. There's a lot of things I agree on, definitely. And for me, the state of affairs in this country, everyone has their opinion, I have mine, but there's room for improvement. Let's say
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. And you know, you've only got to just be the observer more, and don't get distracted so much. Like, and just just look with your own eyes. Just take time out, stand on a high street and just modern day and just watch for 10 minutes. You can actually see like all of it with your own eyes, and you know what's happened.
Yeah.
And the only other way, the only opposite thing to that is to build something that's new that you know brings joy, happiness, bliss to communities and your work, your family, household. You know, like how we should all be living.
Yeah, definitely.